Well, hello and good evening. This is Robbie W1RCP, and you have made it to a live build. So tonight, my plan is to make what's called a MORSEbox. And it's sort of like the ham cube, except this one's a box. And I'm going to put some surface mount technology, surface mount soldering using a heat gun, and then some through-hole parts and the like. And we'll show you a top-down view of what we got going on in just a few. So I've got a few things I need to get ready. One of those is I need to get the parts out of the box. And building one is definitely not the way to go, but I'm just going to build one just to have a copy, a video of how this thing goes together. And some of the things that we have here, we've got, we have the, oh, I forget where the camera is. This is the microcontroller that's going in it. It is a Seed Studios ZAL, which it means tiny. This is the RP2040, and that is one of the things that I'm going to put in there. And then you have the circuit board itself, which probably looks like a weird color because of the background, but it's supposed to be green. And I have something special. This is not the cup. I just threw the screws everywhere. This is not the cover that we're going to use, but yeah, apparently orange turns green and then blends in with the background. But it's going to be orange, but it's not going to exactly look like that. This one is going to be a little bit different. All right, so let's put some stuff away. Let's have a sip of our good old Diet Mountain Dew. Also have to take my night-nights because by the end of this stream, it'll be time to go to bed and get ready for work in the morning. All right, the other thing that we have is a 1.9-inch TFT screen. And so if we can get our fingers through the tape, I did not bring my sharp object to open this with. So it's kind of a pain because it has a piece of tape on the top of it. And it looks like Chris, who commented earlier, AE4XO, said he'll probably forget this, but hi. Well, hello, Chris, and thank you for at least leaving a message. Alrighty, so we have the 8-pin header and the screen. I keep forgetting we're not top-down viewing yet. But we have the screen right here. It's a 1.9-inch TFT. I really like these. And Adafruit sells them. They're about $19, I think, $19.95, right at 20 bucks. So the screen itself is worth it. Now, of course, I buy mine in bulk for a lot cheaper, but that's what happens when you buy things in bulk. We have our surface mount soldering kit, which is 6330 Chip Quick. And the number on this is November Charlie 191 LTA. That's Lima Tango Alpha 10. AE4XO made it. Good evening, Chris. Good to have you in the chat tonight. And I'm making a MORSEbox, which is a CW tutor that I designed to be a little bit better than the ham cube. It's along the lines of the MORSErino, but there's some features that this doesn't have that the MORSErino has. This doesn't connect to the internet. There's no Wi-Fi to it, which I believe the MORSErino does. And we're going to get started. So we're going to swap on over to the camera with the... Uh-oh, camera doesn't work. That's fantastic, and that happens every time. So we're going to do a little restartage here because I know this will work. So bear with me just a minute while we sort this out. Chris, what you been up to? I saw you at a new park today, somewhat of a new park. It was $97.99 if I'm not mistaken. And of course I was at work, so I wasn't able to chase you. But that definitely would have been cool. And my remote station at home is not up to snuff. All right, so we have a problem. And this happens every time that I fire up the... were you activating 9777? Were you using the DX10 at home? Or I mean, in the field? Is that what you had going on? And we're waiting on Chris to answer back. If anybody else wants to chime into the chat, tell us that you're here this evening. I'm working out a situation with the GoPro. Oh, the DX10 is just at home. I gotcha. Well, I'm afraid that the top-down camera, and this happens every stinking time that I go to stream. It works until I stream. I have a string of bad luck. And apparently somebody else came in and they left without saying hello. How dare they? I'm going to see... Y'all stand by. We're going to go dark for just a minute. I'm going to see what happens. This stream might end, and I may just go home with my tail between my legs. But I'm going to close OBS and restart it. Let's find out. All right, and we're back. That was just a quick cut to nothing. And check this out. The camera works. Fantastic. Alrighty, so now that we played that game, you can kind of see what's on the table here. The first thing that I have to do, and we're going to make my face disappear because I'm not going to be looking at the screen for this. So we're going to transition away, say bye-bye, and now I have faded into the oblivion. Here on the desk, we have the circuit board. And the first thing for SMT, or surface mount technology, is getting the glue that's going to hold this together is going to be the solder paste. And I much prefer to have a little more light here, but it's going to be okay. And we're going to put solder paste on all of these pads that surface mount parts are going to sit to. Now, I do not buy tiny surface mount stuff, with the exception next to this right here. This is where a capacitor goes, but next to that there are 5 pads, and all I have to do to those is kind of tap them just a little bit, because if I put too much solder, there'll be a bridge right there. And this part is so difficult to get that bridge. And I'll bring this up close to let you look at it. If it'll focus, you can see how tiny some of these parts are. And the 2 spots that I have to get to next, because the light is so crappy in here, because I don't have the most greatest setup out here. I'm just going to get really close here. All right. Moving down the line. These are where, this is, oh my gosh, I know where I went wrong. I'm going to have to, I hear dogs outside. I was wondering what that noise was. The dog is curious as to what's going on in here. So I forgot the Dremel tool, but I have to cut out this section. I forgot to do it when I got these circuit boards made. And so that is something that has to be done before I can continue. But I should be able to make that happen really fast. Glad to see some folks are here tonight. Let me know you're here in the chat. Let me know what you're doing this evening. Are you hunting parks on the air as the sun is going down? Are you having dinner? I would hope not. All right, so we're going to put a pretty good amount on these. I like to solder these this into place myself without wasting the solder paste. And I missed one more right here. That is the amplifier resistor. All right, that's for the surface mount parts. And then we pull this back, and that kind of creates a vacuum so this stuff doesn't ooze out anymore. And I keep it in the refrigerator just so it won't, it makes it a little bit harder so that it won't come out. But then I take it out about 30 minutes before I'm going to use it. And the solder paste warms up. Don't keep it in the garage because that stuff will melt and separate. The flux will get out of there and it's just a big fat mess. So now what we need to do is I really need to, that right there. So I'm actually going to have to leave for just a second and go grab the Dremel tool. This will make a heck of a sound on the microphone. So if y'all will stand by just 1 minute while I go grab that Dremel tool and find the plug that's on the floor. Stand by! I'm dumb for not having this ready already. Anybody watching? All right, when you do prototyping, let's see, what can I unplug over here? Sometimes it's nice to have power tools. Now, if I'm nice and I keep that off of everything else, let's see, here's a plug. Okay, sorry for the delay there. I had to run in and go grab that real quick. You can see my shadow moving around on this screen right here. But the jack said that this was the edge of the board. The problem is it needs to be back just a little bit because the jacks sit at an angle. And so here we go. This is going to be god-awful. Necessary evil is the Wii machine. And now we can pull out the parts. Now, I use 1206. That's my favorite size of surface mount toys is a 1206. And if this box would stay open, we would all be in good shape. There we go. All right, we have the audio jacks that we're going to take out first. And, you know, normally you would do all that kneading before you put your solder paste in. The good news is the flux and everything else, the fire, should kind of make that float to the top. I haven't had an issue with it yet, but we need 2 audio jacks. And we need the tweezers. Because some of these parts you won't be able to grab by hand, but these parts right here sit neatly. You really don't need the tweezers for these, y'all. They sit neatly right there. And that is the reason you have to do a cutout, because they sit at an angle and I'm not happy with it. So now all that solder is on these instead of where it's supposed to be. But we'll put some more solder. And I see that my sister has joined in. You looking at my shirt? Have you checked out my shirt? Let's now that you said that, Chris, let's transition. Have you checked out my shirt? It says, I love Morse code. And yep, definitely can't zoom in because I don't know how. If you give me a minute, I'll I'll make it a little bit better. This is not going to be super better, but this should be better. So if you bear with me, I'll zoom in just a little bit. All right, that's as best as I can make it for you. Definitely love making some shirts. I've got some shirts and some coffee mugs in the shop. Don't know where YouTube tells people to go get that, but there we are. So now I'm going to have to move up closer to here to get you to be able to see Mr. Jonathan Grinder. Oh, got me distracted. I still don't like how much I need. Nah, you stay in the other room. The next revision of circuit board will be a lot better because I did a cutout here instead of leaving it level because there was a discrepancy in the footprint. It said that it was supposed to go to the edge of the board. Well, I did that. And it was not enough. It's off by about maybe 20 thousandths of an inch. All right, we're going to go back. We're going to put a little more solder paste onto this. And that's as close as I can get it. Yes, you won't be able to see what's going on here, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little more solder paste on these pads right here because I kind of picked up what I put on there already. And we'll put some more on that one. That one. All right, that should be good. This one doesn't even get used, but we'll put a little more on there. We'll pull that back. And if you're in the chat room this evening or watching the video, let me know you're here by leaving a comment. Go ahead and comment. Tell me what's up, what you doing this evening, what interests you about this project. This is the MORSEbox, and it is a Morse code tutor or trainer, if you want to call it. And what we're doing is the surface mount parts to this circuit board. So that sits flat now. That's the way it should be. If it doesn't sit flat, it won't go into the holes, which would be bad. Now we're going to go find the 10K. There's the 2.2K. We'll get to that one in a minute. But we need the 10K resistors. And we need 5 of these. So this is where, if you're not careful, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A machine can do this. It's called a pick and place machine. I do not own one. I've heard that you can turn a 3D printer into one. But then we use these and then we put them back so that we know, because there's no labels on these right here. They're just plain with a plastic and paper container. So we put it back into the DigiKey bag so that we know exactly where it is. You don't want to really have to read these numbers on these parts. So let's go ahead and put these in place while we have them. I tend to turn the circuit board this way, and we have 10K right there. Now what's cool is when we heat these up, they will scoot into place. So we're going to drop these right here. Then you have to flip them over so the other side can get some sun. And you can imagine having to make several of these at the time. Gotta flip them over. It takes some serious concentration to flip these things. Flip them over. Does anybody else in the chat want to say hello this evening? I know we got AE4XO Chris and Jonathan Griner who's watching. I know my friend Billy was supposed to watch tonight because this is his. I've got 5 of these in the store, and I have one more that I'm making for him on the stream. There's something special I'll show y'all in a little while that I 3D printed for him. Okay, those are the 10K resistors. Now we're going to go for the 2K, which I have about 2K of them, but we only need one for the amplifier. And so we're going to do that, and we'll dump that out. There we go. We'll close that bag back up. I opened this one wrong, but there is the, oh, that's right side up right there. There's the bag of the 2K resistors, and there happen to be 100 2K resistors in there. And the 2K resistor goes right over here next to the TO92. So we'll take and we'll plop that into place. Okay, now we have capacitors. Let's find the capacitors in the junk bin. And that's probably easier said than done. Okay, there's the TO92. There's that tiny thing that'll go on next. Uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem. Ceramic capacitors, 10 microfarad. And we're going to take 2 of these off of their little strip. So we're going to pull the plastic up, 1, 2. We'll dump those out where we can find them. And to keep order in this, I'm not good at keeping order in anything. But when it comes to these parts, if you don't put them back in the bag, they almost all look exactly the same. So we've got that done. I'll place that over there. The 2 capacitors, one goes right here. That's to keep the voltage steady. And this one goes right here and keeps the charge steady. Because this gets a rechargeable battery, and that keeps it conditioned. Now, the charging circuit itself. These right here are an absolute tiniest pain in the neck ever. These are MCPs, so I just forgot who made them. That's great. But there are 30 on this strip right here. I need 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to peel this back and try to pick the, dadgummit. We're going to try to pick this up with tweezers, because that's the only way you can do it. It goes 3 to the right, 2 to the left, and it goes right about there. So now we have that right there. Trying to turn it so you can see it. All right, so you said the bag is upside down? That one was upside down. How about that? Can you read that now? There you go. Sorry, trying to figure out which way is up. This way is up. All right, the last surface mount piece that we're going to put on here is going to be the actual brains of this project. Oh, no, no, no. We go and we put this back in the bag. Most of y'all are on your phones. Don't you just spin your phone so you can see it upside down? Isn't that the beauty of technology? All right. That goes over there. This comes out. Again, this is one of those things where it'd be nice if we actually had some scissors. I got second best. I can force it with these pliers. We're going to force this open. Look, it just had children. And now We'll pop the bottom of this bag open like this. This is the boring part right here. All right, so it shows I've got 4 people on, and I've heard from 2 of them. Does anybody else want to say good evening? The YouTube money is mighty short these days. Mighty short. All right. This is the RP 2040 from Seed Studios. It's going to be right side up, I hope, but you can see that it is literally tiny. It's about the size of a thumb. And we're going to put that right here. The most important part of this is getting the solder onto the bottom, which you cannot hand solder. Now, we're going to find something to solder on. How about an aluminum can? I'm going to see if I can zoom in so that you can see this happen. Hey, Billy! Good evening, Billy. Good to see you this evening, Billy. And what I'm about to try to do, Billy, is to zoom in so you all can see this thing do its melty. All right, we've zoomed in so close that you probably won't be able to see anything, but we're going to fire up the heat gun to about 850 degrees. And we're going to turn that tornado force down to a light breeze. And we're going to let it heat up. And we're also going to transition so you can see me sweat out here. Good evening, it's me again. And we're heating up the heat gun. And as soon as we heat up the heat gun, it's heated. Now, hopefully I'm close enough that if you stare really hard at your phone, the 326p will actually show something. But as I'm heating this up, I know that looks like crap. Oh, my phone's telling me it's bedtime. You can hush. Okay, so I've done a lot of talking. All right, the solder is melting. The resistors are orienting themselves north and south at this point because it's legit pointing north and south. The capacitor tried to scoot away. It was too much of a breeze. So now you probably can't see it because the thing's over it. Oh, you know, Billy, doing some surface mount. It's too dark out here in the barn, the garage. I'm out here in the garage, and we're melting solder. So I'm going to take this one, and I can't talk and do this at the same time, so bear with me. We're going to line up the contacts on that. Looks like the solder melted there. Solder has melted there. I think once the solder melts on that 10 microfarad, we're good as far as the RP 2040 goes. And we're good there. So that is the first step in doing surface mount. It's not that bad. It's not that good either. You could actually see it, I'm sure, if you were on a Jumbotron. Okay, we'll put this under the desk so it can blow that heat somewhere else. Hey, it's me again. And we're going to let this cool off for just a moment. We'll go ahead and get the other parts out of the bags. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out on the desk, if you'll bear with me. That will take me 20 to 30 more years to go ahead and do that. So, Billy, you still there? Because I got something to show you. Yes, this is a complete... Can I flip this? Let me see if I can flip this. Flip vertical. Oh, that's neat. Whoa. Whoa. Check this out. Whoa. Well, that's cool now. All right, let me see if I can orient me back into the center of the screen again. There we go. We save these for rainy days. I don't use those. First thing we're going to get out, 4 switches. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how you navigate through the programs and the menu. We get 1 battery doohickey. That's a JST connector. And 1 potentiometer. That's for the volume control. And those are starting to gather right there. All right, Billy, check this out. You've got great. Now it's backwards in the other direction. Flip horizontal. Hot dog, now we've got it oriented correctly. I made it with your call sign in white. Hot dog. Normally I wouldn't do that, but since you wanted one that was personalized, I hooked you up, broski. And one last thing. 1 TO92. Man, is that thing ever going to turn off down there? Good grief. It's probably like, bruh, it's 100 degrees in this garage. Okay, getting down to brass tacks and all that stuff. There we go. Now it's quiet again. So, if I were to offer a custom call sign put onto somebody's MORSEbox, how much would you pay for a personal extra? Like these sell for $65, which I think is a freaking deal and a steal, because I don't think there's many quality products that this right here, you can make it do whatever you want it to, because it has a microcontroller built in that is USB-C to program with the Arduino. And you can write any program you want to, and in the manual itself, I have the schematic and the pinout. So you could write your own programs for this if you were so inclined. And so we're going to put these switches and make sure that they are level. If they are not, then the buttons that I have printed in the box will not fit. And I can tell that I'm not going to be able to do this in an hour. Although when I do a lot of them and I'm not talking and it's brighter, I can definitely do them faster. I can do about 5. Heck yeah, you'll be doing a live stream, Billy. It won't be tonight, but later on this week, I'll probably have to get in the sun to see some of these parts. So we put those in place. Let's go ahead and heat up the soldering iron because we're getting close. And we put this in, which on the next revision of circuit board, I made the holes a little bit wider for this because this does not want to go through the circuit board. You really have to score the copper. Almost don't even have to solder it in, it's so tight. But you can see just off the screen, No, heck it won't, Billy. You can quit playing right now. Ain't nobody going to watch this after this is over. I can see some spots that need some touch-up of solder. And I'm not going to put this potentiometer in place yet because it is solder time. I got your keister right here. We closed the visitors this week. Alrighty, temperature is up. And the first thing that you're going to do is keep the tip tinned. It's always something that's important to do. I'm going to try to zoom in some more, which is kind of difficult to do. But let's zoom in. Ooh, there we go. Now you can watch me solder. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go turn this. You know what? We have a problem. That's not lined up. That's the problem with doing things in the dark. So, watch me as I go. That is true. I am going to South Carolina later this week, all by my lonesome with my sister, to go visit her family. Okay, this is where being in the dark is not helpful. This is ever so slightly out of alignment. And that would make it not work. So there's only 4 spots that need to get heated up to move this over. And that is this pad, and the 2 pads underneath here. And we're going to bump it till it moves. Big mistake. I would have liked to have caught this while it was still warm. Okay, now let's see if it's hot enough for the solder to dig through. Nope. All right, now it's lined up. Because this is supposed to be even with the edge. Okay, we're going to have to let it cool again. If you want to buy me some lights. Billy's got a nice setup at his place. I think his lights are twice the size of mine. So, anybody else watching tonight and want to comment in the comment section in the chat? Let us know you're here. We'll say hey while we're letting this cool so I don't burn my fingers. You give it a few more seconds. Let's see. Oh, it's not that bad. Speaking of not that bad, now these line up. That was my sister. She's watching from the other room. I'm sure that there is... Yeah, that's still extremely hot. Okay, maybe you can see that. That's as close as I can get. We'll move that. And I like to solder these manually instead of doing the surface mount because this tends to be a little bit stronger. And the solder paste costs a whole lot more than a roll of solder. And eventually a bridge is going to form, and that is okay. If we get a solder bridge, there is a way to fix that. Now you can see I'm doing the rapid solder. And then I'll check and see if I need to touch anything up. Okay, so you can see maybe you can see that there's a solder bridge just at the bottom right hand side. And that is where solder wick works like a charm on this. And that is what I'm trying to find right now in this bag of tricks, is my solder wick, with which there's the solder wick. We'll cut off the used stuff. And now we'll take the solder wick and just drag it across there. That'll clean that solder bridge right up. Amazing how good that looks. We'll go ahead and do it to the other side for good measure. And looky looky, I got hooky. Throw that over there. That's soldered into place. I do like to go ahead and touch up the pins on the header, the headphone jack. I like to go ahead and touch it with a little more solder just to make sure that those are completely attached to the board. You don't want one of those to break. All right, so there's some of those, and these look like they turned out okay. Probably don't need anything on them, but we'll hit them just in case. And those appear, that one doesn't look like it got enough. All right, now we go to the bottom. And down here we have the power connector. Let's go ahead and clean the tip of this soldering iron. Get all the oxides off. Let's go ahead and solder those three in place. And now we have these 16 pins to solder. I also redesigned the circuit board and the footprint for these to give me a little bit more of a pad to solder to. These are okay, but I like to have big pads. I like big pads, and I cannot lie. So we're soldering all those in place. We'll have to clean that big chunk of solder off. And you definitely want to keep your tip clean, because if it's clean and tinned, you get better heat distribution. Okay, last thing we need to do before we put the potentiometer on is there is one mistake on this circuit board, that there's a trace missing. And that's no fault of the people who made this board for me. It is a problem with me not paying attention to the schematic. If it's not on the schematic, it's not going to complain. If it's on the schematic, you can look at your DRC complaints and verify that you indeed have an error. Well, I made that mistake. I didn't check the errors. And so by not checking the errors, I really messed up. There's no going back now. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and tin the two wires on this, and I'm going to tack them into place. And I'm going to leave that blob of solder because this needs to attach right here. So I'm going to take that blob and go boop, and hold that down. And then we're going to connect it to 5 volts. Now, connecting this to 5 volts, which is where the schematic was supposed to go, it enables the audio to be louder when it's plugged in and charging. That is intentional in case you want to blast your headphones so loud that you can't wear them. And that way you can use headphones like a speaker. So now we are going to touch that into place right there. And then hold it till it solidifies and cools. And that was my only mistake this time. Before I ordered circuit boards, and holy cow, it was a disaster. Okay, now we're going to do the screen. So the way you solder these screens, you put the short end through the screen, and then you tilt it back that way. And then we're going to make one solder right here. Keep it in that orientation. Now we can go solder from this end. Go 1, 2. Oh, my eyes went cross because it's too dark in here. 3. Having good light when you're soldering is a must, because it's just really hard to see. Having a fan to pull this solder smoke off would also be really nice. Okay, that's soldered to that end, and let's drink to that. The dogs are absolutely off the chain. Wash all that solder smoke down. Now the last thing that we have to do is, I have a spacer. This is what the spacer looks like. And there is a spot on the back where it sits on top of the capacitor. The capacitator. Oh! Look who it is, y'all. You have to come over this way. Look, it's in the lab with Dr. Billy.
What's up?
He was commenting earlier, dude, I don't have another seat out here. I mean, I'm sitting on a freaking old people crapper. Legit, I'll show y'all at the end. If you'll stay tuned in, you'll get to see that. But you drinking what flavor Monster you got tonight, Billy?
Strawberry something, I don't know.
Is there a 5-gallon bucket over there? Oh, get that amplifier. You can sit on that amplifier. You have to cross under the ladder, but.
Oh, that's like 10 years back or something.
Oh yeah, well, can't have bad luck if you ain't got any.
That's true.
All right, y'all, I'm gonna get Billy in here too. Let's see.
Awesome. Get real close.
Hey everybody. All right, so the spacer goes on the back side of this, and we screw it down with 2 itty bitty teeny tiny screws. I think I wound up using this size. This is pretty tricky to do. Isn't it nice and humid and hot out here?
It is nice, humid, and hot out here. That is a gigantic computer screen too.
Isn't it nice? Definitely
It's
good for
awesome.
streaming.
You got this for free?
Yeah, I did.
Nice, even better.
It's Apple something or other. I don't know much about Apple, but it's one of them all-in-one jobber-doos. Oh, somebody said no visitors yet. He snuck right past security.
Security's terrible. I saw security on the couch doing whatever security was doing.
Probably Sudoku puzzles.
Pretty sure security was vaping too. I'm just saying.
You just can't have guests over and have them respect your place. It's all right. It doesn't get in the walls that I know of. I ain't worried about it. I ain't in there.
You ain't in there. I saw.
Nope. I don't have to deal so much about dogs barking while I'm out here. Yep, so I can tell that this stream is way behind real life by about 10 seconds. So again, who we got in the stream? Anybody? Anywhere? I know the winner for the chicken dinner, comment-wise, is definitely Jonathan Griner. Been killing it. All right, so we're turning the screws on this. This is time consuming, but it is a necessary evil to keep the screen level and keep it pressed against the box top. But once you get these tightened into place, it also protects the back from anything happening. Okay, we won't get to the actual other part of this. Speak of the devil. But here's what it looks like on the back. It protects the ribbon cable. Oh, there went that foam. But it also keeps it level so that when I put it on here, we take the jumper wire, we move it out of the way. Take this, pop it in place, and it sits level. Like that.
Nice.
Yep. Really nice. And that capacitor fits right in. You can't even see it because of it. Yep, there you go. It sits right in that hole. All right, so we got two things left to put in. We have the potentiometer. That is for your volume control. So you can either keep it where it's safe to listen in your ears, or you crank it to 11. And you don't wear your headphones for that.
You should have put a sound piece on the box that went to 11.
Oh, yeah. All right. I see what the problem is here. I'll let my wire get stuck under there. We don't want that under there. That will sit out to the side later on. There we go.
Hey, Jonathan Griner, check out. I don't know if you can see all that, but look at that.
You see part of it.
Yeah.
Saw it better when you were standing up.
Jonathan Griner's got one of these too, so.
Yeah, Billy's got his own channel. It's Whiskey One What the Heck in the Lab. Is actually in the lab with Dr. Bill. All right. I'm done staring at this. I am going to pop some solder onto one of these. Just to hold it in place. Okay, now we're going to solder the rest of them. Now that I can let go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was already done, but we put a little bit more on it. 7, 8. Then we have these. This one takes a pretty good amount of solder because that is a big via.
That's what she said.
I like big vias too.
Well, that's Sir Mix-a-Lot song. And I cannot lie.
I think that's twice because I said something about something being big earlier. Okay. Bingo. Now we'll take and trim off the bottom of the transistor. And the clock is covered up, so I can't see what time it is. And we've reached the end of the stream, and we have managed to make it. That's what it looks like when it's done. Now, I still have to prep the battery, but to show you how this fits into the case, the buttons go through these holes like this. Let me make sure I'm showing this good enough. buttons fit right here.
Nice.
I think that's good. Always check the fit before I actually put them together. Let's not leave that screw in there to mess anything up. Is that all of them? This will go down like that and go behind the buttons. And then these two guys pop right through there. And all of the holes line up. Just like that. And then you put on the W1 WDH lid. Let's get back oriented. That just snaps into place.
Man, look at that custom piece.
Yep. So this only has a few more steps. I don't have enough time to do it tonight. Plus, it's too dark out here. Christy did offer to model the merch.
That's true, she did.
She said she could also walk out here and talk loud instead of typing.
That would require her to get up and come out here.
Yeah, but that is the MORSEbox. One thing I have to remember, there's a screen protector on here that I peel off before I close it. And that is that. But here's what it looks like from the side. You click. Why are those pushing all the way through? Oh, because I don't have the screws in. It's just pushing the circuit board.
I was like, I don't know. Why?
When you... Yeah, see, I always check this. That hole has a little bit of flashing in it. That shouldn't stick. So, that's how they're supposed to be. I didn't sand that. Oh, it popped one time. Anyways, there are a few more things to prep. But that is how the MORSEbox goes together. I have, at the current time... I have 4 of these on my website. I've sold 2 already this week.
3,
but I can't sell it to you till it's done.
That's true.
Yeah.
I want to jump the gun.
Jump the gun. Well, it's been a great live stream. Solder and iron off so we don't burn the house down. And let's swap to the outro cam. So,
Nice.
give us just a second.
Get out that making with Robbie. What are we making with Robbie?
Don't worry about it. Look, it's Billy. And so Billy has been learning Morse code. He's got all kinds of trainers, but he wants one more. And so I'm like, cool, I'll make you one. I'll be glad to. But it's a lot of fun to play with. I've got, even my sister who's not a ham will play MORSEbox. So we thank y'all for watching tonight. I do want to say to the subscribers, thank you for your subscription. It takes nothing to subscribe. I also want to thank the members. Thank you, members. And let me go ahead and shout out that list of members. We got Kent, Kilo 9, Alpha Echo Echo. You were one of the newer ones that I actually recognize. And then we have Max _64 and Raffaele True, who was also about 3 days later, they subscribed. And then we have Dale Henninger, Whiskey Zero, Delta Hotel Zulu. Lansing, you've been a member for 6 months. Thank you so much for your continued support. Michael, Kilo Echo 4 Eastern Standard Time. A loyal fan, about to be coming up on a year, some of y'all. Dale, Michael, and Josh, Kilo 4 Lima, India. Y'all have 1 month and you'll be here for a year. And Claude Ray. Claude, you know we got something coming up this weekend. I won't be able to participate this year, but the Georgia Parks on the Air, Georgia State Parks on the Air is joining with Whiskey Delta 4 Kilo Oscar Whiskey to put on the Georgia State Parks on the Air Sprint, which is more than just the state parks on the air. It's all the parks in Georgia. Let's get those parks activated and have a little camaraderie and contestery for 4 hours on Saturday. It runs from 10 a.m. Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern time. And then we have WD4 DAN. That's Dan with Front End Overload, who does a nice series of Willet Antenna. And then finally, the most loyalist of loyal fans, Toby Alpha Delta 2 Charlie Delta. Thank you for 16 months of being a loyal fan. I appreciate you as always. Thank you for that continued support. We hope that you all have a great evening. Ham hard, ham on, and we'll catch up.